What's going on, everybody? Top 10 Pokemon back, bringing you our weekly Pokemon card auctions of the week recap. Folks, if this is your first time watching, you picked an excellent week to start. In today's episode, we will be going over the newly graded cards from Paldean Fates, including that special illustration rare Charizard EX, both raw, in CGC, and PSA. We're going to see what kind of prices that card fetched. And we'll also be going over the record-breaking price of the BGS 10 Black Label Latios Alt Art GX card from Team Up. The most coveted alt art card of all time, has a Black Label copy that just sold this week. And we will be giving away this PSA 9 Entei Gold Star card from Unseen Forces. Folks, this is a card that sells for around $375 in auction, and it will be given away by this week's auction recap sponsor, lowpopping.com. Now, to enter into this giveaway, you gotta do three easy things. Go join Low Popping's Discord, go follow lowpopping.market on Instagram if you haven't already, and subscribe to Low Popping's YouTube channel. I will have all three of those in the description below for you to click on, and then after you've done those three things, leave a comment on this video letting me know what your favorite Pokemon card set of all time is. And don't forget to go check out lowpopping.com, where they get new inventory each and every week of both graded and sealed Pokemon product. I will be drawing the winner of this card live. That's right, live, either this coming Monday or Wednesday. I'm not quite sure yet, but I will let you know what day it's going to be. So come join me then. We'll have a little Q&A. I'd like to talk to you guys live, and then of course we will be drawing for this card, so stay tuned for that. So let's get into this week's incredible auction recap, starting off with some of the newest graded cards from Paldean Fates. Here we have the full art, or the ultra rare Nemona trainer card in PSA 10, sold this week for $132.50. And then we saw this special illustration rare Iono that sold for $217 this week. Here we have a beautiful special illustration rare Gardevoir EX that sold for $440, while this special illustration rare Mew EX had two sales, one for $422, another one for $500. So this is definitely the second most expensive card in this entire set. And then of course we come to the Charizard EX, had a raw sale this week of about $262. We saw a CGC 10 Gem Mint copy sell for $405, and then numerous PSA 10 examples. Here's one that sold for $565, another one for $570, another one for $580. So yeah, this is of course the most expensive card in this set. It's a Charizard, what else would you expect? And then we had a couple of more interesting modern sales. Here is a PSA 10 Umbreon VMAX from Evolving Skies. This is a card that was kind of getting low a few weeks ago, selling for like, I don't know, $600-700. This week it had a little uptake in value, selling for $880. And then here is the CGC 10 Pristine Pikachu Van Gogh promo card that is still doing much better in its market price than the PSA 10 copy, selling this week for $550, while a PSA 10 sells for about $260. So actually over twice as much for this CGC 10 Pristine, which is odd, but interesting. And then getting into some amazing vintage cards, here's a CGC 10 Gem Mint First Edition Mewtwo Holo from base set, sold this week for $4,051, while this Blastoise in CGC 10 sold for $6,600. And then we saw the Charizard sell as a CGC 10 for $38,900. A couple of higher end cards from Jungle. Here's an unlimited Flareon Holo that sold for $484, while the first edition copy sold for $1,675, along with this first edition Jolteon that sold for $2,225. And then we saw a lot of the colorless Pokemon Holos. Those are the ones that are very tough to grade. Here's a Pidgeot that sold for $2,026, the Wigglytuff that sold for $2,125, Then the first edition Kangaskhan sold for $2,325. From Fossil, we saw this first edition Gengar in PSA 10 sell for $3,150. And then we saw this Black Star Promo Mew. Now this is a card that was printed for the Fossil version, for the Japanese version of Fossil, but it didn't quite make the English cut. I don't know why. It sold as a PSA 10 this week for $830. And then we saw one sale from Team Rocket. It was this Dark Dragonite Holo that sold for $1,875. And then from Neo Discovery, we saw this Rookie Espeon Holo that sold for $2,201. And then we saw two sales from Neo Revelation. Here's the first edition Ho-Oh, sold for $2,370, while this Unlimited Shining Gyarados sold for $2,266. One card from the E-Series, it was this beautiful Houndoom Holo from Aquapolis that sold for $1,913. And then getting into the EX era from Emerald, we saw this Altaria EX sell for $527. This Hitmonchan EX from Ruby and Sapphire that sold for $580. And then here is a beautiful Black Star Promo Articuno EX in PSA 10 that sold for $811. Here we saw one gold star in this Regirock from EX Legend Maker that sold for $1,736. And then lastly on eBay, we saw this PSA 10 graded first edition base set booster pack sell for $5,227. And what's very interesting about this pack is that there are not first edition cards in it. There are actually unlimited cards, but it still has the first edition stamp that was not covered up by the black triangle that they put on these packs. Whenever these packs were printed, they messed up, tried to hide the first edition stamp with a black star or a black triangle, and this one slipped through. So I think this is the only one graded a PSA 10, which is why it went for which is why an unlimited booster pack went for over $5,000. So that was very interesting. Up next, we have the PWCC weekly auction block. Not a whole lot of action this week on PWCC, but we did see the lineup of the big three from the Japanese base set. Here is a Holo Venusaur in PSA 10 that sold for $990. Here's the Blastoise sold for $1,050, and then the PSA 10 Charizard sold for $4,320. And then this one was kind of interesting, folks. I mean, I found it interesting. It was a unlimited PSA 9 base set Charizard that sold for $1,590, which, if you don't know, that's well over the market price for this card, as it typically sells for like closer to $1,000. So I was looking at this card, and it looks phenomenal at a glance anyway. You look at the front, the centering is pretty spot on. Look at the back, the edges, the corners look pretty flawless, and I'm wondering, man, is this a PSA 10 potential card? Why did this get a 9? So I look closer at the front, and you can see on the left-hand side there, it's got some silvering, which is when the holo starts coming through on the edges there. So yeah, I think if I were to guess, that's what knocked it down to a 9, was that decent amount of silvering on the left-hand side there. And there's also a white spot on the upper left side as well. I'm not sure if that was the way it was, like, this card was scanned, or if that white spot is on the card itself, but there you go, folks. I found that sale to be a little bit more interesting than the rest. Here we have a BGS 10 Black Label 25th Anniversary Charizard that sold for $1,890. And then the final auction on PWCC was this Giovanni's Scheme Full Art Trainer card, graded a PSA 10, signed by Mitsuhiro Arita. Both the grade and the autograph got a 10, I believe. And this card sold for a staggering $17,400. And that's pretty much, that card's maxed out. I mean, you got the Gem Mint grade, you have the Gem Mint autograph from the original artist. So yeah, over $17,000 for this card. Which leads me to the auction of the week, which would have to go to the Alt Art Latios GX card from Team Up. This card sold in a PSA 10 this week for $1,725. But then we saw the BGS 10 Black Label example of this card come through, and it sold for a staggering $11,009. And I did reach out to the seller, who confirmed that this was paid for. So yeah, incredible sale for this alt art. And like I said at the beginning of the video, this has to be the most desirable alt art in modern sets right now. It only has 6 in the Black Label Pop Report. What do you think of that? Thank you so much for watching, folks. Don't forget to enter the giveaway by following the steps in the description. Don't forget to leave a comment so you can be entered in when we do the live giveaway. And that's pretty much it, folks. That's all I got today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you all in my next one.